Hello, friends. This is Scott Monty. Stand by for commentary.
Welcome to the Full Monty, where you'll be exposed to commentary and analysis from the week's digital news. You give us 15 minutes, and we'll save you hours. And now, here's your host, Scott Monty.
Hi, and welcome to the Full Monty, an audio companion to the newsletter of the same name. Each week, I pick one or two pressing issues and inject insight, opinion, maybe a little wit into this 15-minute show that's sure to give you a better sense of what's affecting the industry. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't, but I hope it makes you think. This week, a look at why we make New Year's resolutions and how you can begin to take control over your habits. Getting in the habit. This episode was originally intended for the first week of the new year, but due to a variety of circumstances, I decided to hold off on it until this month. Well, now that we're 2 months into 2017, does it feel any different to you? Should it? When the new year rolled around, a night became day, and another page turned on the calendar, it seemed like a good time to reflect on our perception of time. But was it really? Perhaps late February is a better time to make an honest assessment of the past year. The ancient Romans had a minor god called Janus. Often seen over doorways, Janus was the god of beginnings, gates, transitions, time, doorways, passages, and endings. He's often depicted in bas relief as having two faces pointed in opposite directions. The month of January is conventionally thought to have been named after Janus, an assumption that has since been debunked. But nevertheless, it has become synonymous with beginnings and transitions. We've since come to use the New Year holiday as an excuse to be reflective and ambitious. Reflective in that it gives us an opportunity to assess how well we fared in the previous year, and ambitious in that we have such a short time to make these assessments and further commitments for the year ahead. So let's take reflection first. We usually judge ourselves by performance against goals, a tallying of everything we accomplished or didn't accomplish in an effort to justify our existence. This is true at personal goals as well as professional goals. We feel proud of the things we were able to accomplish, and perhaps we feel poorly about that which we didn't. In short, it's a coming to terms with the entire way we've lived our lives for the last year. And we always pledge to do better in the year ahead. The great irony of this considered introspection is that it comes just as we're coming off a hectic time period of holiday planning, end of quarter and end of year pushes for final bits of business, not to mention personal commitments such as decorating, shopping, and the usual mixture of joy and melancholy that the holidays bring. And, dare we mention the holiday weight gain? Do we honestly think that we have the ability to calmly and thoroughly assess the balance of our achievements from the previous year amid such bedlam and expanding waistlines? In addition to causing us to reflect, as mentioned, this ritual expects great ambition, this major appraisal of our lives, one into which we cram the totality of our achievements. It requires us then to make rash decisions about what we will do as a result, decisions that may completely alter our lifestyle or method of doing things for the next 365 days. This usually culminates in the inevitable New Year's resolutions that many people make, which are at best small modifications in behavior that may achieve an effect over the long run, or at worst, a hollow and poor claim to completely alter a lifelong habit. Many resolutions end not with a bang, but with a whimper, as the effort simply does not take hold. It's no coincidence that the late Senator Ted Kennedy would famously give up alcohol each year, pledging to keep his promise until his birthday. And he usually managed to do it every year. In case you were wondering, his birthday was February 21st. Well, when you think about this tradition that we have, it's really a little silly, as you could do better by reflecting and adapting at any other time throughout the year, such as February.
Get your trivia skills ready for the Naked Truth.
This week's Naked Truth trivia question. In the United States, we just celebrated President's Day. What exactly is it that we're celebrating? Answer at the end of the show. And now, page 2. I mentioned February as an option for taking on resolutions, and it may have seemed a bit random. But if you look at the root of the word February, ancient sources derived Februarius from februum, which was a thing used for ritual purification. What a perfect comparison! Ritual purification is essentially what we choose to do to ourselves within the construct of New Year's resolutions. It touches on ancient religious traditions, but we absolve ourselves of past mistakes, and then we begin again with a clean slate, purification. See, the challenge is that we're already beholden to schedules and calendars that dictate when things ought to be done. We give ourselves artificial milestones or touch points at any given time throughout the year for a variety of purposes. The new year, end of quarter earnings, thank you, Wall Street, the launch of campaigns that have less to do with consumer needs than company needs. In some cases, it's almost as if we do this by rote, on autopilot, rather than assessing exactly why we need to do so on such and such a date. It's human nature to mark the passage of time and to be self-aware. It's built into our DNA, and it's part of what separates us from the animals. Now, I don't know about you, but when I leave the house, my dog can't tell whether I've been gone for 2 hours or 2 days. He greets me in the same overexcited, joyful way each time I walk through the door. See, to him, time doesn't matter. But being human means that we understand the concept of time as we've created it. Not to get too philosophical here, but our construct of time is somewhat artificial, and we've simply become beholden to it. Remember Janus and January? Well, as the Romans honored different gods with their months, they also had a different beginning to their calendar. The ancient Roman calendar consisted of only 10 months, and it was based on lunar cycles. And it began in March. And then, of course, Julius Caesar came along in 45 BC, and he created the Julian calendar with its 12 months. And in case you were wondering, the two new months were Quintilis and Sextilis, later renamed July and August after his death and the death of his heir Augustus. But even the Julian calendar didn't withstand the test of time, as Pope Gregory XIII introduced the Gregorian calendar in 1582. The point here is that time is a human construct. We simply learn to live within it. And what interests me is not time constraints, when we do things, but rather the habits that we form, how we do things. Aristotle famously said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And a more modern philosopher, William James, wrote his piece, Habit, in 1887. In it, he outlined 3 guidelines on how one might go about forming new habits. And here they are. 1. The acquisition of a new habit, or the leaving off of an old one, we must take care to launch ourselves with as strong and decided an initiative as possible. Accumulate all the possible circumstances which shall reinforce the right motives. Put yourself assiduously in conditions that encourage the new way. Make engagements incompatible with the old. Take a public pledge, if the case allows. In short, envelop your resolution with every aid you know. This will give your new beginning such a momentum that the temptation to break down will not occur as soon as it otherwise might. And every day during which a breakdown is postponed adds to the chances of it not occurring at all. 2. Never suffer an exception to occur till the new habit is securely rooted in your life. Each lapse is like the letting fall of a ball of string, which one is carefully winding up. A single slip undoes more than a great many turns will wind again. Continuity of training is the great means of making the nervous system act infallibly right. It's surprising how soon a desire will die of inanition if it never be fed. 3. Seize the very first possible opportunity to act on every resolution you make and on every emotional prompting you may experience in the direction of the habits you aspire to gain. It is not the moment of their forming, but in the moment of their producing motor effects that resolves and aspirations communicate the new set to the brain. These 3 maxims from William James are just as true and relevant today as we reflect on what is and isn't working in our lives, as we make our resolutions, and as we try to form new habits. So it doesn't matter whether you're making this pledge in January, February, or even quintilis. But really, this year, this month, this week, whenever you're listening to this, it's today, and it's really no different than yesterday. Go make it a great one, and make it a habit. Constant companion, greatest helper, pushing you to win or to fail. You must be firm, but I'm easily run. Some call me the Holy Grail. I'm the servant of great men, of flops as well. Their fate is in my hands. It matters not what their intent is. I'm beholden to their commands. Those who are great, I have made great. The failures I've made as well. I work with the precision of a machine, but it's in your head that I dwell. Take me, train me, guide me to the world as you'd like to grab it. Who am I? If you haven't guessed, dear friend, I am a habit. We asked you what we celebrate on President's Day. While the common misconception is that we celebrate past presidents of the United States, in fact, the day is an amalgamation of the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln, born on February 12th, and of George Washington, born on February 22nd. If you have a topic you'd like us to cover on the show, please send us an email at fullmontyshow@scottmonty.com. And if you've enjoyed this series, please consider becoming a patron to show your support at patreon.com/scottmonty. And please consider leaving a review or rating for us on the platform of your choice. Be sure to check out these other major stories from the February 21st edition of the Full Monty newsletter. A female engineer told a harrowing tale of sexual harassment, HR threats, and a dwindling percentage of women engineers at Uber. It's an explosive post full of allegations that goes into great detail about the situation. Uber is on for the fight of its life. AI is surrounded by marketing hype, jargon, inflated expectations, and fear. Two experts offer realistic and thoughtful ideas about artificial intelligence in our society and economy. And Cisco released its 2017 Cybersecurity Report, which indicated that over one-third of organizations surveyed that reported a breach in the last year said that they experienced significant customer, opportunity, and revenue loss. Well, that's all for this week. With any luck, your brain is a bit bigger now. Thank you for making me a part of your week and for being exposed to the full Monty. Until next time, I'm Scott Monty, and I'll see you on the internet.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the Full Monty newsletter and this program at fullmontyshow.com.
I cannot tell a lie.